Welcome to our lecture on the future of mobile app development. I'm your professor, Dr. Lisa English Dowdell. Now, as technology continues to evolve, so does the landscape of mobile app development. So, in this lecture, we're going to explore how cutting edge technologies are reshaping the future of mobile apps and how developers can adapt by selecting the right tools and frameworks to build smart, scalable, and user centered applications. Imagine using your phone not just to scroll or stream, but to step inside a virtual showroom, interact with intelligent assistants, or control your smart home. These are no longer futuristic ideas, they're happening now. Let's break down some of the technologies powering these transformations. So, first up, augmented reality or AR. Now, you've probably used this without even realizing it. Think of Pokemon Go or IKEA's app that helps you place virtual furniture in your room. Now, AR takes the real world and layers digital content on top of it. It's a great way to enhance a user's experience by mixing the digital with the physical. Next is virtual reality or VR. Now, VR is more immersive than AR. Instead of adding digital layers to your world, it takes you out of your world and places you in a fully digital one. Now, while VR has made its mark in gaming, it's now being used for things like virtual training, healthcare simulations, and virtual property tours. Now, some VR apps can even run directly from your mobile phone using a simple headset. Now, let's talk about the Internet of Things. Now, this is all about connecting physical devices to the internet so they can talk to each other and to us through mobile apps. Think of smart thermostats, fitness trackers, or voice assistants like Alexa. Your mobile app becomes the command center that controls it all. Now, for developers, that means designing apps that are responsive, secure, and can handle real time data. Now, last but not least is artificial intelligence or AI. Now, you interact with AI every time you use voice assistants. Um, you maybe when you see like app suggestions or even get recommendations on like what to watch. AI and mobile apps can personalize content. It can automate responses and even analyze user behavior. Now, developers are using tools like TensorFlow, Lite to build machine learning directly into apps. And that's huge for personalization and predictive features. Okay, so now let's shift gears and let's talk about how developers are building apps across multiple platforms like iOS or Android without having to code everything twice. Now, this is where cross platform development frameworks come in. So instead of building, say, one version of an app for iPhone and then a completely separate one for Android, developers can write most of the code once and then run it in both platforms. Now, here's a few popular options that you should know about. First, you've got Flutter, which uses Dart, and it's known for its beautiful UI and fast performance. Then there's React Native, and that's built on JavaScript. And it has a strong community support, and it's used by Facebook. Then there's Xamarin, which uses C Sharp and is great for teams already working, say, with Microsoft tools. And then last, there's Ionic, which is a good choice for web developers since it's based on HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So, how do you choose? So, some of the key considerations when choosing a framework is one, take a look at your project size and complexity. Is it a small MVP or a large enterprise app? Who's your target audience? Will the app need to feel native, for both Android and iOS? Then you want to look at the development team skills. What languages and tools is your team already familiar with? And then, of course, performance needs. Does your app need real-time updates or 3D graphics? So basically, you need to ask yourself, how complex is your app? What performance needs does it have? What's your team familiar with already? And are you trying to make something that feels exactly like a native app? For example, like if you're building like a sleek, highly interactive app, Flutter might be a great choice. But if you already know JavaScript, then React Native might let you kind of hit the ground running. All right, we've talked about current tech and tools. Now let's look ahead, at what's coming next in mobile app development. Okay, so first up, 5G and edge computing. Now, 5G is here and it's a game changer. With much faster speeds and lower latency, apps will be able to do things we could only dream of before. Like real time augmented reality, um, high quality mobile streaming, and super responsive gaming. Edge computing means we're processing more data near the user's device instead of relying on distant servers. And this means faster load time, more privacy and better performance. And then, wearables are also growing fast. Think about smartwatches, fitness trackers, or even smart glasses. These devices need apps that can sync and communicate smoothly. So developers will need to create experiences that work not just on phones, but also they connect all of these different devices. And then there's super apps. Now in Asia, they're already huge. Apps that do everything: chat, shop, pay bills, book travel, all in one place. Developers in other parts of the world, they're starting to explore this model also. And then lastly, privacy first design. Users want to know how their data is being used and they want to control it. With more regulations like GDPR, app developers must be transparent and secure. So building trust through ethical design is going to be a big important part of all of these features. Okay, so let's wrap things up. So the mobile app development world, it's moving fast. Okay, as future developers and designers, it's important that you don't just learn how to design or code, but also stay informed about what's next. So I'd like for you to reflect on these three questions. What emerging technology do you think will impact mobile app in the next 5 years the most? If you were building, say, an app today, which cross-platform tool would you use and why? And then what roles do you think 5G and AI will play in, say, shaping our mobile experiences? So thanks for watching, and let's keep building the future.